Thanks, Josiah. Okay. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to meeting 9 of the Welch School Building Committee. This meeting is being held by the magic of Zoom and through the courtesy and blessings of the PBD Access Television. We hope that those of you who are joining us from the public will enjoy this meeting. It's going to be very informative. Our members are here ready to discuss all kinds of issues about the Welch School project, and you're going to hear a lot of forward movement today. So I'm going to turn it over for a minute. I'm going to let the mayor speak for a couple of seconds, and then we will get right into our meeting. Mr. Mayor, would you like to say a few words?
Yes, thank you, Mrs. Dunn. As always, I'm very appreciative of your work in making this happen. And I just wanted to again thank all the committee members, give their time and effort and skill to this project. Still very excited about the direction of the Welch School. I know we have a great deal of work ahead of us, but today is an important meeting. We'll be getting into some very important items and votes. So looking forward to this. And again, I can't wait to see some progress that we make. So thank you again to everyone and looking forward to the next steps today.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. What we'll do right now is we're going to bring up the approval of the November 5th meeting minutes. Would any one of the members like to make a motion to approve those minutes?
Motion to approve.
Okay, thank you. Motion made by Mr. Hockman. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. McGivern. All right. Is there any discussion? All right, seeing none, I'm going to do a roll call of the voting members today. Mr. Mayor? Oh, I'm sorry, is there a question? Okay. All right, Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Okay. I'm voting yes. Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Okay. Let's see. Pete McGinn?
Yes.
Thank you, Counselor. Mrs. Massa?
Yes.
Okay. Mrs. Migliozzi? Mr. Colbert? Hi, Ed.
Yes. Good morning. Yes.
Okay. And Beth McGivern?
Yes.
All right. And thank you. That motion passes. I just need to back up for a second. I just need to announce on air the attendance at today's meeting. I have to just do that very quickly. Okay, in attendance today is Christina Del Angelo, Beth McGivern, Ed Colbert, Jared Hockman, Mayor Ted Betancourt, Mike Burton, Daniel Doucette, Donna Danisco, Jeff Oxalida, Kara Migliozzi, Michelle Massa, Peter McGinn, Vivian Lowe, Ryan Melville. Oh, Ryan. Okay, and then we have someone on the telephone. It's 129. Oh, it's you. Oh, Teddy, I'm sorry. You come up twice. Okay. All right. So for the record, that's who's present today. And Dawn Whittier is hosting this, so their staff is here as well. Okay, now we can move on. Next agenda item. We're going into the community meeting. It was very well attended. We had over 400 views by various methods of people watching that presentation. I haven't checked recently, but people are watching the reruns too. It was very informative, and all the work that you folks did on it was just excellent. It was a good presentation. And I'm going to open it up. I'm going to turn this over to Dawn Whittier, and they can continue with this topic. And if anyone would like to speak about that community meeting, we'd love to hear some input and feedback on that. And then Dawn Whittier will continue through the agenda. Okay, so I don't know, Christina or Mike, if you would like to take over with that discussion about the community meeting.
Yeah, Christina, why don't you take it away?
Yeah, no, I think, Bev, you did a great job of kind of recapping that we had some great attendance. It was well received. I think we did a great job with reaching out to the local neighbors, informing them of the meeting, which is important to start that communication now. And hopefully with everyone that was reached, we'll then continue to attend our future community meetings, which we will have in the next couple of months here, some additional meetings that we would like to schedule to keep informing the community of our updates and where we stand within the project. So just wanted to provide just a review. I think a lot of our SBC members were able to attend, so thank you for participating in that. And it's always nice to have a great turnout for something like a community meeting, because as you know from just other community meetings, sometimes they can be low attendance. So it was nice to see that we had as many members join us through that meting.
I think we broke attendance records. I'm going to go with that. I am going to say
There
we
you
broke
go.
attendance records. Is there anyone else that would like to, any of the members have any questions or comments about that? Okay, I don't see any hands raised. All right. Moving into the next agenda item, it would be one of the, this is one of the really big ones for today. The preliminary design program submission and approval. So we're going to have a good discussion about this, and at the end we are going to take a vote whether to submit this to the MSBA. So Christina and Mike, it's in your hands.
Yeah, actually, I'm going to turn this over to either Donna or Vivian to talk through their slides that they've prepared for our meeting today, to walk through kind of the important factors that we want to make sure that we're discussing with you as the SBC and that we're then asking for your approval on today.
Okay.
Morning. I'll just, this is Donna. I'll just go ahead and give you, it's really a recap of everything that we've been discussing, and what we just like to state that this is the preliminary design program. And really the focus of this is to establish the educational program and then provide MSBA the list of options. It says evaluation of alternatives, but really it's the options that we want to continue to study through the remainder of the feasibility study portion of the preferred schematic. And then at the end of preferred schematic, we'll make a decision on which option we want to proceed. So really, this is just a recap of where we've been and what we're recommending to submit to MSBA. So if, I think you have to drive, right, Christina? If you could just go to the next slide.
Yep.
Thanks. So the first component, which really provides a basis of the size and the shape and the organization of the building, is the educational program. And working with Josh and Michelle, I just want to say thank you to both of you. We've spent a lot of time talking about the spatial relationships and adjacencies, the special ed program, and the importance of that being an inclusionary program, and how that really supports the students within the classrooms, which is really important. So I'll just quickly go through, after reviewing the existing spaces in the existing building, it really, you can see we have the existing column, a proposed column, and what MSBA guidelines are. And where the classroom sizes are today's standards, they're about 900 square feet. The kindergarten and the pre-K classroom are slightly larger with bathrooms, so that meets today's guidelines as well. The special education spaces, in comparison to MSBA guidelines, which really MSBA for special ed just puts a percentage of the overall number of students in a building. Every school's special education program is different. And based on the fact that this is an inclusionary approach, all the students really want to be in the classrooms. The spaces or the size of the special ed program are adequate for the Welch School. Art and music are slightly undersized. As you can see, really it's a art and music share a classroom, or music is on a cart. And if there's a way that we can improve upon that, that would be ideal as we move forward. Health and PE, as you can see, slightly undersized, but the gym is sufficient for the enrollment of 390 students. Basically, you're going to have one class in there at a time. A 6,000 square foot gym really enables two classes to be in the gym simultaneously. And based on the enrollment, you only need one class in the gym at a time. The media center is slightly undersized, and we're looking forward to opportunities to hopefully enlarge it if it's within the budget going forward. The dining, which includes the kitchen, is right within MSBA guidelines. Medical is slightly undersized, and again, if there's an opportunity to expand that by 100 or 150 square feet, we'll certainly make every effort to do so. Administration and guidance and custodial maintenance, again, slightly under, but if there's an opportunity to improve upon those areas, we'll certainly do so. So as you look at what the total program area is in, as you compare it to MSBA guidelines, you'll see that we're really not that far off. And really the main differences were the gym, one classroom for art or music, and otherwise we pretty much meet MSBA's guidelines. So we feel very confident that the spaces within the existing facility can support the educational program appropriately. And then if you just look at even the overall gross building area, we can certainly say that this is an extremely efficient building. And if there's an opportunity to take advantage of some other circulation or unused space right now as we move forward, we'll even make this a more efficient building. So if we go into the preliminary evaluation of alternatives, this is everything that we've been talking about. We have in the first column, really what you're looking at is the footprint with code upgrades, and you'll see in yellow, it's a little hard to see in this one, but just the modifications that are required for the code upgrades. And really all this is mechanical, electrical, ADA, and building code compliance. And this would also include ADA or AAB compliance along the site as well. And then the other option within this code upgrade would be a consideration of incorporating air conditioning into the building. The second column are really remaining within the footprint of the building, as we've discussed. It would be incorporating, of course, the code upgrades and the AC. The first option is utilizing an all-electric system, which would be a VRF system. And then option two would be possibly bringing in gas, and this is still a further conversation. And we're suggesting a unit vent system or similar could also be utilized in this. But options R1 and R2 do have some educational benefits to it. Options AR, which is addition renovation or renovation addition options, again, build upon the first two columns with some expansion. So there's some minor additions to AR1 and then a major renovation addition to AR2. Both improve upon the educational environment, but with that also comes a significant cost. And then per MSBA guidelines, we do need to provide a new construction option. So we do just, and you'll see, and maybe you haven't had a chance to look at it with the documentation we sent, what the impact is financially to the city. So if you wanna just go through, basically, these are all of the, and everyone has seen these before. Here are the code upgrades, and these are the details that support the work that would occur. And then the next one is the same with air conditioning, which just means that we have to provide additional structure to support air conditioning on the roof. And then these are the modifications for the adding building improvements and educational improvements. We've we'll continue to review and analyze and discuss what's most important. We have really structured this so it's a menu of options. For example, under the educational improvements, we have identified costs associated with each one of these. You know, new gym equipment and wall pads may not rise to the top, but classroom renovation and storage with de-escalation areas, which would benefit the education program, may be something that we want to consider going forward. If you want to go to the next one. These are the renovation options, renovation and addition options. This builds upon putting air conditioning in the facility and then taking advantage of the structure that we have to put in and reconfiguring the center core of the building on the first floor primarily, which brings the admin and nurse to the front to provide oversight of the building for visitors, security, and visibility of the building, and enlarging the library. It's a very minor addition, somewhere around 1,000 square feet. And then it's also taking advantage of the second floor and enhancing the area that used to just be a corridor. And because, again, we have to provide additional structure for the air conditioning units, that we can build out a little bit and maybe add a couple of small educational spaces. The next one is a major renovation. And again, with that does come cost. But we were considering expanding. You can see to the, well, I'm saying it's to the east, but I believe it's to the south of the building, to the right side of the building in yellow. We've created a bay of 2 additional classrooms on the first floor, 1 additional classroom on the second floor, enhancing the programs within the existing building by creating project areas outside of classrooms, changing the core, the center core, again in purple, and building upon the minor renovation addition, and then creating a library or media center on the second floor to take advantage again of the structure that we have to incorporate for the air conditioning. This does have a significant cost implication to it. It would be, fabulous to have, no doubt, but the other options also support the educational program at a less expensive cost to the city. And then the last slide is really just to demonstrate to MSBA the potential of a new construction. We would be able to keep the students in the existing building while we created or built a new school of about 75,000 square feet. We would maintain a good portion of O'Connor Park. And then once, of course, similar to the Higgins, once this new school is built, we could demolish the existing building and replace and put in a larger field and probably improve circulation for shared parking, both for the school and the park. But again, significant cost impacts, which we'll get into next. So what we've done is we've compiled, which is part of the preliminary evaluation of alternatives that we'll be submitting to MSBA. You'll look at the program area. We have increased some of the spaces for option R1 and option R2, just the renovations by capturing some of the circulation space, but remaining within the existing footprint. And then as you see, as you go down further, the program areas certainly continue to get larger, as does the building. And with that, as does the cost. So if you look at the construction cost, you'll see that the lowest construction cost option is about $18 million, 17.9, ranging all the way up to a new construction of 45.6 million. The project costs, we've spent a lot of time evaluating project costs, making sure that we can provide all of the support, the soft costs. It would be all of the fees, furniture and equipment, technology, testing and inspections. All of the soft costs remain within MSBA's allowable 25% of the construction cost. And then what you'll see in the last column are the durations for the work. You'll see that actually a new option is probably going to be the shortest, not by much, 22 months, but the reason why we have 24 months for all the other options is it really needs to be a phased, occupied construction project. And I do want to point out as well, within the construction cost, we've identified approximately $2 million for portable classrooms. It's about 8 classrooms that we're suggesting would be best required for the safety of the students and be able to get in and safely separate the construction zones from the educational or for the school activity zones. We've had some preliminary discussions. Maybe there's alternatives that we can come up with instead of using temporary classrooms. It is hard to swallow when you're spending $2 million on temporary space when we could actually be putting that into the building. So we'll continue to explore those options. So what we're looking at and what we're recommending right now is we're not taking any option off the table, that we want to continue evaluating all of the options, and that we'll explore these for the next couple of months, and we'll be back to we'll continue to have these conversations, of course, with the school building committee, but in February, we'll be looking for a vote to select one of these options, or it could be a hybrid of one of these options as we move forward based on the most important needs, to submit to MSBA in February what the preferred solution is moving forward with the project. With that said, the next slide is this is just highlighting it. We're looking for a vote today to accept that we'll continue to review all of these options. We will be submitting it no later than next Thursday to MSBA, or December 18th, next Thursday. We are looking to have a second community meeting once the committee has decided which option that we would like to proceed moving forward, so that we're informing the community before we actually submit the preferred solution to MSBA. We'll be looking for a vote from the SBC February 18th, and we have to submit the preferred schematic report in our preferred solution to MSBA on February 24th. MSBA has an internal facility assessment subcommittee, which will be going before and providing all of the information, including the educational program, our findings, and our preferred solutions, so that they can ask their questions appropriately in a setting which allows communication before the board of directors approves the project in April 14th. So does anyone have any comments or questions? I realize we submitted a draft and we're reviewing it, and we've picked up some things that need to be corrected in the draft, but does anyone have any questions or comments related to what we've submitted to you all or presented today?
If I could, we've expended, or we've approved $1.2 million for the project, and I'm wondering where that money shows up on the project cost.
Sure. Actually, Dan, what we didn't present today, but what we do have, and I think we've shared this, or maybe we should be sharing this, Mike, is it's just part of the total overall cost. So Christine, if you could go to slide 17. What we're not showing on this slide, and Dawn Whittier have put together a really detailed spreadsheet, which would actually provide what the city share does incorporate the 1.2 million. So the 1.2 is included and the overall project cost. And what isn't shown here is what the anticipated city share is. This is
Right.
what we have to submit to MSBA. But Mike, I don't know if you have that.
Yeah, I do. I can share that on the screen. Well, why don't we circle back to that, see if anybody has any other questions before I kind of take over the screen and
Sure.
share that other document.
Great.
Jared Hockman has his hand raised. Jared, do you want to ask a question on that?
Thank you, Ms. Dunn. Does the project cost that we're looking at in this slide include the temporary structures for during construction?
Yeah, so
Yes.
those appear actually in the construction cost. We're anticipating that the contractor or CM would be responsible for providing and installing those. So it's like 1.9. So we're just calling it $2 million, which is incorporated into the construction cost.
And are those costs reimbursable by MSBA?
They are not.
God. And Mike has the detail behind all of that he can share how that works out as it relates to the city's share.
Okay.
Yeah, if you want, Christina, maybe you can stop sharing for a moment and I will put that spreadsheet up.
You should be able to share your screen now. Yep.
Okay, let me see if I can make this a little bit bigger. So what this is, I believe I've shared a version of this previously, and this is sort of a rolled up version, but what this does is it takes into account the area in the blue is essentially the construction cost area. As you can see, the modulars are factored in here. And so for our code, as an example, that's the 17,951 that Donna spoke of. And then what we do is we put in some numbers for soft costs, which is, cost for the designer, cost for the OPM. There's some money set aside for city funded items. And so the blue area is construction cost, and the orange, if you will, area is soft cost, which gets you to a total project budget. So sticking with R1 as the example, total project cost based on what I have here for soft cost would be 23,257. I show the initial appropriation of 1.2, and then that shows you the remaining funding that would be required. What this also does is show our expected reimbursement rate, which there's variations between the options, but we start with 54% for all. You get 1 to 5% for renovation, and they vary based on options, where a code repair, we're not likely to get the full 5%, so I've assumed 3. And on the R1 and R2, we assume the full 5% as an example. Maintenance program, you get anywhere from 0 to 2%. Typically, this lands around 1%, so I've assumed that. So we take the total assumed reimbursement rate of 58%, and then we take out ineligible items. And so, as was discussed, the modulars are ineligible. And then, if we go over 2% cap for contingency, that becomes ineligible. And then they also do not reimburse for vinyl asbestos tile removal. So that takes the total project budget less the previous appropriation, and then it shows the maximum grant amount. And then down here at the bottom shows basically what the city's share would be for each of these options. And then it also tells you what I call sort of the effective reimbursement rate, where after you've taken out some of these ineligible items, what is the MSBA share as it relates to the overall? And so I call that the effective reimbursement. And so why don't I just leave this on the screen for a moment and see if anybody has any questions about this.
Actually, I did have one more question about slide 17 in Ms. Danisco's presentation in regard to the timetable for new construction. Did that include demolition of the old building and redoing the athletic fields?
22 months should be sufficient for that, Mr. Hockman. We haven't spent an enormous amount of time on the new construction and the sequencing, but for a 75,000 square foot building, we should be able to easily erect that, demolish the existing building, and then put in new fields. It might go beyond that depending on the time of year and what can be done over the winter months as we wrap it up. But, we could say 22 months is a sufficient amount of time for a 75,000 square foot building.
And we agree with that.
Okay, and does the construction cost and the project cost include the demolition and the refurbishing of fields?
It does. It also would include, any hazmat abatement and everything else that needs to come out. I do want to point out at this point in time, because this is really, we have not studied this option in depth, and it really is at the very initial phases of the project. These are based upon estimated construction costs today on a square foot basis, which then is inflated based upon the time frame of going out to bid in a couple of years. This also has approximately $5 million worth of site costs, which we would have to further evaluate and spend more time on if the new construction option is a direction that the city would like to proceed with.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mike, could you send that financial pro forma along to the committee at some point?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
So maybe we'll just, does anyone have any other?
I think the mayor has his hand raised.
The mayor.
Should we let him?
I think we'll let him speak. Huh?
No, I just wanted to chime in that I had asked Danisco and Doran Whittier not to really focus on new construction. I just thought that was not a feasible option for us. So I kind of asked them to focus on some of the other options to look at in terms of renovations and upgrades and things of that nature. So, I just wanted to point that out, that I had asked Donna not really to look in that direction. I just didn't think that was workable for us.
So to echo the mayor's comments, and again, our submission to MSBA for the PDP really states that, just to bring everyone back to the beginning, that the initial statement of interest that was submitted to MSBA was based on repairs. And MSBA felt that with the amount of repairs that it made more sense for this to be part of the core project or core program. So our focus really has been, how can we extend the useful life of the building while providing some educational benefits? But as we've demonstrated, really the educational program can be supported in the existing building. So our real focus has been, how can we extend the useful life of the building, which really goes to, for the most part, the options are through maybe R1. But with that, as you can see, incrementally really comes to additional funding from the city, which we understand you have other capital projects that are being considered. So we'll be able to spend more time evaluating these in the next couple of months to really hone in on what's most important. Air conditioning, no air conditioning, supporting parts of the educational program or building improvements that may enhance the educational program. But again, the main focus was to extend the useful life of the building.
Are there any other questions? Anyone want to bring anything into this discussion?
Bev, it's Pete. Question for Donna.
Yeah.
Thank you. You mentioned extend the useful life of the building. What would the anticipated useful life of the building be under these various renovation scenarios?
So our goal is to extend the useful life 25 to 30 years. What needs to be pointed out is that any mechanical system, really, depending on which system we do go with, will range from 15 to 20, 25 years. And then of course the roof, we can typically get a 20 year life expectancy or warranty out of those. But replacing the envelope, replacing the windows, doing a lot of those types of upgrades would allow the building to, extend its life to 25 to 30 years.
Thank you.
And just one thing I would like to add to the discussion, just so people can understand something. The Higgins, when the Higgins project came up, that was going to be a repair project also. That's how it went in. And when you looked at the numbers, kind of like what we're looking at today, the cost of repair was more than the cost of a new building. Higgins couldn't be repaired, honestly, and that was why we had to go with a new school. And it's just something to kind of put things in perspective, because yeah, a new school would be beautiful and it would be wonderful. However, in this case, when you look at the numbers, you can see that repairs actually are more they are more fiscally responsible in this case, because that school still does have a lot of viability in that building. And one nice thing is these repairs are going to help the school's educational program. It probably would have helped the Higgins also, but it's very striking to realize the difference in the two projects, and maybe to be able to help you to put everything into perspective, just so you can understand.
Yeah, Bev, just to add on to that, that's a really good observation. I even hate to say that Higgins New School is 225,000 square feet. And the construction cost came in at like under $70 million construction cost. This is a 75,000 square foot new school. And you can see the inflation in construction costs it's unbelievable how much it's gone from the Higgins to here. And the other thing to consider is the Higgins School was designed as a high school. It had like 11 different levels, and it would have been nearly impossible to make it fully compliant, code compliant, accessible to every student. And so coupled with the size of the building and the challenges with the spaces, it just wasn't set up for today's educational model for middle schools, where here, this really has a great educational structure. We can have all 3 classrooms per grade clustered together, which really is a primary consideration, making sure that the spatial relationships and adjacencies are there. You have bathrooms in the classrooms that need to have them to support the kindergarten and pre-K programs. So we really took a hard look and poked at this a lot. And we've really been able to say, this is really a solid building that has the basis for the educational program to bring forward.
It's true, yeah. And just to tell everyone on this board who worked on the Higgins before, and Donna, you're gonna laugh. I read an old report when the Welch was first built. There's peat on that site. And we remember what happened at the Higgins with the what was it, a river of peat.
It was unbelievable, all
Right.
under the fields. Yep.
Yep, it was a cost, just so everyone else knows, it was a cost that was totally unanticipated because there was no way to find that out. You would not have been able to see that until during construction, and it was very, very involved. So when I saw those words in that old report, I just thought, oh my
Nope.
goodness.
You can just add, you can double the site cost just based on,
Right.
right? Chasing
Right.
that Pete was horrible.
Yep. So I'm just throwing that out there so everybody can see how much we learn going forward with these projects. They are separate, but the lessons learned from others really do help you build on some of the decision making for the things coming forward.
Or planned for them. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Need a peak detector. Does anyone else have anything they'd like to add to the discussion? Or any questions? Because what we're doing is getting good information out there. It's really good to hear your questions on this, because what we will be doing is taking a vote to submit this report to the MSBA. It's not taking a vote today on which option we're going to follow, but it's taking a vote to tell the MSBA, here's what we're looking at. Here is what we are using to form our decision, and that's the decision we would make in February. I'm just checking to see if anybody has their hand raised on the on here. Okay. If there are no questions, Mike and Christina, I think we might be ready to take a vote. Is there anything that you both or Donna would like to add to this presentation on this part?
I think we've summed it up. I think what you said is exactly what I would have shared, which is that, again, the approval today or the vote today is to submit the preferred schematic, the preliminary design program as reviewed here today. We're not locking into any of these options. It's merely showing them what is on the table. And so I think there's been good discussion. And if there's no other questions, we could probably put forth a vote.
Okay, we'll give one last call for any questions. Okay, I don't see any questions coming up. I'm just checking pictures now. Okay, I'm going to take a roll call vote. Christina, I have my roll call form here, and I will send it to you, transmit it to you after the meeting. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, all right. This is for the members who have the capability of voting. All right, so I'm going to start. I need
Yes.
okay, Michelle Massa,
Yes.
Kara Migliosi,
Yes.
Ed Colbert,
Yes.
Jillian Gonzalez,
Yes.
Beth McGivern.
Yes.
Okay, those are all the voting members who are present, and the motion passes. So we will be submitting the PDP you have in front of you to the MSBA with your approval. All right, thank you. I think we can move to the next agenda item, and we have a schedule update. Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. Yes.
No, that's right.
That's okay. Yep, schedule update.
Yeah, I think in the previous presentation, kind of those key milestone dates have been reviewed. This is similar information. And so this is the format that we've been showing at these meetings. So we did want to share this detailed version. But again, the milestones in the PDP were captured very well. And so this is just a different format. So I would ask if anybody had any questions on those milestones or anything specifically regarding some of the items here. I think we hit on all of the key dates.
Yeah, and this schedule, like Mike said, is included within our PDP submission. as well as it's in the presentation that is part of this meeting minutes, which is in that link that I send out to you prior to our meeting with all the meeting materials.
And I will just add, presently, we are on schedule of our anticipated preparation and submissions and dates. So the committee, you're doing really well, because we're working ahead on that aggressive agenda, and things are moving along as we planned, which is really good. Okay, no questions on that one? Just checking. All right. The budget update. Actually, is that, okay, there we go. Thank you.
So typically Mike Cox from our team goes over the budget update for you. He is actually on another meeting today during the same time as this meeting, but we just want to share with you on a monthly basis a snapshot of our budget dashboard, which is a live view of every invoice that we've approved to date and that we've entered within our budget system. And so this is also included within our presentation that's also uploaded to the FTP site. So if you want to review it on a monthly basis, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us and let us know. But this is just an overview of that 1.2 million that was appropriated for feasibility and schematic design. And it shows you anything that we've expended to date, anything that has been approved as far as invoices, and then what's remaining. So it's kind of just a snapshot of what we're entering against the budget to date as far as invoices or contracts go.
Are there any questions from anyone? It looks like everybody's okay with that. All right.
So
Thank
on
you.
this, on the next piece, I think the committee members will recall that we did have a presentation on the two delivery methods that can be utilized for a project like this, which is the design, bid, build, and the CM at risk. And so we did go through that presentation. I think we do have all of those slides here, but what we were looking to do is, since the last time we discussed this, we've been putting together the package of information that's required to go for approval with the OIG. And so there's a lot of information that we've assembled, and one of the final deliverables that we would need in order to submit that would be a approval from the SBC. And so what that approval does is that would allow us to submit the package of information, which the state has up to 60 days to review. And so a vote today would allow us to submit that package and, you know, get the clock ticking on the 60-day approval period, which would give us the ability to exercise this should we choose to do so. So by voting to approve the submission of this, we're not necessarily locking into it. We still have some time. We're simply going to apply for it. And if later down the road we decide we do not want to go with a CM at risk, we can simply, we don't have to. We would follow up with a memo saying we went a different direction. So this is really just about getting through the OIG 60-day process, because if we are going to use CM at risk, one of the larger advantages, as I said last time, is that you're bringing in a construction professional during schematic design, which is the document and the package that we are going to send to the MSBA that will ultimately lead to our project scope and budget agreement. And the reason the CM at risk adds value is because you're getting their input on phasing and logistics. And, you know, if, for example, we were going to go in a repair, one of the repair options, you know, we imagine that there's going to be some complex phasing and hopscotching around the building, and that can add time to the job. And so time is money, and having their input on that before the district makes their agreement with the MSBA is hugely critical. Because again, once the project and scope or project scope and budget is agreed to, that becomes your project funding agreement, which essentially means that's your maximum grant amount, and that grant will never go up. And so having that input during the design prior to the submission of that is hugely valuable. So As I said, we do have the slides here. I would probably pause here for a moment and see if anybody had any questions from last discussion. And then we could either click through the slides quickly or move on, depending on whichever way the SBC would like to head.
If any members have questions down on that little participant link, you can raise your hand there if you want. Okay, because I do have a question. I'll throw it out there. Mike, one of the things that I can remember when you were doing your presentation to become the OPM, and you had worked on 2 elementary school projects, and they were phased. They were very similar to Welch, which is what we really picked up on that selection subboard. And phasing, I know phasing is, well, it's key, but it's very complicated when you're working on an occupied site. And is it, did you use a CM at risk on those projects, or did the community at risk?
Sure. Yeah. So the projects that you're referring to, there were 2 elementary schools that we did in Wellesley, and very similar scope. Basically, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, fire protection, sort of infrastructure upgrade, as well as exterior windows and some roofing and some ADA compliance. And so that scope very much aligns with some of the R options that we have right now.
Yeah.
We did utilize CM at risk, again, mostly because similar to here, the district did not have any swing space. And so obviously the concern there is, as we discussed, we have roughly $2 million for temporary student housing and modulars. And obviously that's not reimbursable. And that's money that could be put towards the building. And so on that particular project, we were able to work with the CM to develop a very aggressive summer only schedule. And so essentially we did it in 2 phases. The first phase was everything inside the building during summer 1. And it's important to note that when you think about from the time the kids walk out of the school on the last day and when they come back, it's really, and set up time for a contractor and everything, it really leaves you about 8 good weeks. Okay. And so that's a lot of work to get done in 8 good weeks. We were able to do that. We did do aggressive double shift scheduling during the summers. So summer 1, we went in and we did the interior of the building. One of the buildings, we had to add an elevator. We got all that done summer 1. We turned the school back over for use during the school year. And then we took it back the following summer and we did all of the exterior site improvements. Very aggressive schedule. CM at risk allowed us to do that and allowed us to complete each phase on time. And so I'm not sure if that answers your question. And I'm also, we would be hopeful that we could explore an option like that, but we're not ruling it out, but we also need to get a little bit closer in terms of which option we're going to go with. And then we can, delve into that much deeper.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I understand. No, you really did answer my question, and you made me think of something else that, again, when we decide on which option we'll take, we will have a discussion like this again about how best to proceed and evaluate it at that time as well, right?
That's right.
Okay. All right. That sounds good to me. Does anyone else have any questions on this? I do want to say I appreciate the material you had sent to us before, all about the differences between design, bid, build, and construction manager at risk. That was very helpful. Okay. All right. Does anyone want to add anything to that?
Yes, Bev, if I could jump in.
Go ahead, Ted. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, this material has been excellent, and certainly with the Higgins Middle School construction, I think the design bid build worked outstanding for us. This is going to be a pretty tricky project, and from what I've been able to gather and receiving the recommendations of Doran Whittier and Danisco, I would kind of defer to their expertise on what they would recommend. I think the construction manager at risk, considering all the potential problem spots in this type of construction with the constant movement and certainly having our students involved, it might seem that CM at risk would be the better move for us here. That's just kind of my thoughts. I think the recommendation of Doran Whittier and Danisco, I value here a great deal just because of their experience and things. So that's kind of where I'd be leaning, or I'd be moving towards, is to go that direction and listen to the advice of our experts.
Thank you, Mayor. Deb, I just wanted to point out, Danisco, as with Doran Whittier, we have done both, right? We've been very successful, even at the Higgins. It was an occupied site, but we were able to clearly separate the construction from the operations of the school and the safety of both the staff and students. And if you see how compact this building is, and there's really no way to separate easily the safety while all of this is going on, it really is critical to have a CM involved who will own the schedule, own really the trades, and ensure that this is done in the most efficient, effective, and of course, most importantly, is for the safety of the occupants in the building.
Yeah, I can see that too, Donna, looking at our two projects in contrast to each other. Yeah, and it sounds like CM at risk would allow us to save time and money, which are two big issues driving the entire project. And if it's, it's going to help that project, I think for me, it makes sense to follow the recommendations of you folks, you're experts in the field, but you also have made it kind of easy for me to understand it, that I want to have something in place that's going to save money and save time and get everything done and get it done right. All right, any other comments from the committee members? Any more discussion? Did someone have a question? I can't quite see. God, I can't wait for this pandemic to be over. Zoom is wearing out fast. Honest to God, I've even got a big screen here. I'm trying to see you all on a big screen. Oh my gosh. Okay, I think we can take a vote. All right. Okay, can I have a motion to, I'll suggest the motion. A motion to approve the selection of a construction manager at risk method for the Welch School project. And
or maybe,
Mike, can you correct my terminology on that motion?
Yep. The only thing is, I would say really what the SBC is doing today is approving the submission of the OIG application for CM at risk.
Oh, God. Good. Let's follow the recommendation of our OPM. Can I have a second on that? I'll make the motion and I'll have a second.
I'll second.
Okay. It's like being in the military. Everything is initials, initials, initials. All right. We're going to send the OIG to the MSBA or the OPM CMR. Here we go. We're just taking the minutes of this meeting. God bless you. All right. Now, who was it that seconded? Was that Jillian? Oh, it was Michelle. Thank you, Michelle. I wish we could put your picture with this motion. All right. I'm going to do a roll call vote. Mayor Betancourt.
Yes.
Okay. I'm voting yes. Jared Hockman.
Yes.
Okay. Pete McGinn,
Yes.
Ryan Melville,
Yes.
Michelle Massa,
Yes.
Kara Migliosi,
Yes.
Ed Calder,
Yes.
Jillian Gonzalez,
Yes.
Beth McGiven.
Yes.
All right, and did I miss anyone? Those are all our voting members. Okay. All right, it is a vote. We will submit, we will submit the OIG to the OIG, the CMR request. I got the initials right. Okay, moving on into the next item. Public comment. Are there any members of the public? I don't see any on the screen. If there are any members of the public. Josiah or Mike or Christina, do you see anyone in the waiting room at all?
No, I don't see anyone.
Nope, I don't. No, okay. All right, then moving on. Next meetings?
So I have
Christina,
tentatively scheduled 1/7, but I'm going to confirm that with Danisco after today, and we'll send out a meeting invite for once we have the date confirmed.
okay. All right. Very good. Is there anything else that anyone wanted to bring up? I think we covered everything on the agenda. All right. Well, I want to wish you all the best of the holiday season. Hanukkah starts, I believe, tonight. Tonight's the first night of Hanukkah. And then Christmas is coming, and then New Year's. And I hope you all have a safe and healthy celebrations and Zoom meetings with your families. And I just want you all to know how much we appreciate everything you're all doing by participating in this meeting. I told you it would be fun. It is. It is. We're giving you the holidays off, okay? You're coming back after Little Christmas, so there we go. All right, everyone. Thanks again, and really enjoy yourself and stay healthy.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Beth.
Thank you.
Thanks,
You need
everybody.
a motion to adjourn.